Yeah, these are quite tasty looking, aren't they? I'll have about 5 of those in a moment, but right now we're going to use this to get that wagon going and stay running. I use this for a Z06 project where I upgraded the fuel system. Not with this, but I use this to drain all of the fuel out of the tank electrically. Now, this little puppy right here, it's the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, period. I mean, the cheapest. Gonna hook that thing up, run this side off to the carburetor on the wagon, and you and I are gonna fire it up and listen to it run instead of just have it going over and over again. Admittedly, these really inexpensive fuel pumps that you get through Amazon are a bit hit and miss, but all right, here's a quick little explanation of what I'm doing. Gonna basically go there to there. Put a little piece of line on there that I cut off from the other end here. See, slide on the end of that and slide on the end of the carburetor. Got to get 2 clamps on there real quick. Good thing I bought the multi-pack yesterday at Harbor Freight. And you know, I had not even planned to buy a container like the big box like that. I had not even wanted to buy an entire container, but the difference with these is that they're made for fuel injection hoses. And I don't know if you've seen these up close or not, but they're a whole lot heavier duty than the other little worm style. So I feel good about using these. I'm fine with using these. Get a couple of these installed. And they were like $6.50, and I think there's 40 or 50 in there. There are 40. Part number MD40FI, Superior Automotive Tools brand. This is only going to be temporary because this stuff is really not meant to be on a fuel system long term. I'm also using this old filter. I have another filter that's coming in the mail today. I've had so many of you asking when am I going to drive this thing, but it sat so long. I'm not one of those people who just kind of gets in the car and takes off, starts driving down the road. And I understand there are circumstances when it's fine to do that, but this one I want to take a little time and make sure that I've done it really properly. As with every single time I do anything with gasoline or spark, which is almost always, big fire extinguisher has to be on hand, and I have to go find my gas jug to put this in real quick. A couple of alligator clips, red ones on top. Let's go there. See if we can get some fuel going up to this. We might have to help this out to get it primed. Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do. Boy, that fuel pump is just freaking barely a pump. Take that loose for a moment. I know it's hard to believe, but you use the cheapest possible components, and sometimes they are less than the best. I know. I'm just as shocked as you are. Get everything out of the way here. Confidence is low. Repeat, confidence is low. Which I think is appropriate. Put the throttle linkage back on. There we go. See if I can get any fuel at all to get in there. This pump is absolutely worthless. Oh man, it's spraying gas everywhere. Right back off. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. Try this again, maybe I got some gas up in there. Not entirely sure the throttle is working. I think the cable has an issue. Or actually, it's kind of sticky. Let's try it. Well, Amazon experiment number 1, total failure. That pump does not even... Now, I first of all know, a lot of you are going to say that pump is meant to push, but still, the hose is leaking. I have another filter and little hose for right here coming in the mail today from Amazon. I'll be putting that on and making some progress here, because this is not working. Look at that. Ooh. Can't do that.
Parts cannon, engage.
It occurred to me the other day when I saw somebody changing out a fuel pump on this. I was like, oh, that didn't look difficult. Then I realized I'm one of the very unusual exceptions. You can see the pump way down in, see it? Pump's way down in there, but I have this AC pump on top. Cool little idler over there. Very rare for 67, but you know, when I move any of that, there's the chance of creating a leak if there's not already one. So man, I have to be careful moving this critter. That's the first thing we're doing though. Brand new fuel pump, new fuel filter, no excuses on this. Gas tank's coming out. Everything, the lines cleaned out, and we're gonna start right now. You kids better quiet down or I'll give you something to be. Do not make me pull over this station wagon. I will. There's a rest area 2 miles up here. This was kind of a strange turn, wasn't it? Well, the reason I am sitting in the car right now is because I just had an epiphany. A total change of heart. I'm going to do something in a way that you had not imagined it was going to happen. I didn't imagine it until just now. Turns out I am going to lift the commuter wagon. And not just a little bit. I'm talking 12 to probably 18 inches, whatever it takes. Because I got to get under it to change the fuel pump. I can't get at it from the top. What were you guys thinking? Oh, I know what you were thinking. You were thinking he can't be driving because the shifter's in park. I do that same thing. Drives my girlfriend crazy. Let's get under the car and jack it up and stuff temporarily and change out the fuel pump and get this beast running. I want to go to like Disney World or something in there. I want to do something in it besides sit in it. 1, 2, 3, Abraca Henry. Zippity Edsel. Now let's climb under. Let's take a dive, shall we? Bumper has some surface rust on it. Kind of crazy that this car has been in Florida its entire life, because contrary to what you might... Wait! That's disc brakes on the front. What? Dude, I totally assumed that this had drums for a 67. Now look at that. Is that an oil cooler or a transmission cooler? I guess I can look from the top. It looks really nice. A little bit of just a really small issue there with the radiator support, but good looking up through there. Back behind, I see surface, but nothing else really. I'm so happy to see those. I would much rather mess with disc brakes than drum any day. A little wet back there. Maybe the fitting there, I don't know. I'll get up in there and I'll look. I don't think it's anything crazy, because if you look, let me spin this around. I'm sorry to make you guys have vertigo, but look up there where the crank goes in. that's dry. Or it's kind of moist. It's not wet, but it's kind of, you could tell that it really looks like it came from above there, maybe around the fuel pump. So that alternator looks small to me. Does that look like a stock one to you guys? Let me spin this back around here. Also, square tranny pan with just a little edge cut out of it. Is that a C4 or what did they call that one? Get a little bit of wear right there. That thing could use replacing. Boy, the pans look insanely good on this car. Holy crap, good. Let's go toward the back. Go down under here. See what we got going. Boy, the mount right there looks killer. Was that added? No, that's stock. Wow. And somebody told me the other day, they said if this was going to have any rust on it at all, it would be right here. That's just a little bit of undercoating right there. The rest of it, a little bit of surface rust, but man, that thing is incredibly solid. Wow. Now, what I came here to see, by the way, if you're thinking there's not even a stand right there, right, there's one there and two up in the front. This thing has an incredibly solid frame. I'm not gonna slide all the way into the car. I'm just gonna put the phone up in there. Ooh, Monroe. Man, this thing is a big old beefy dude. 9-inch Ford rear end. Drum on the back, of course. The tires are all absolutely excellent tread, but totally worthless. It occurred to me you guys might want to see some of the trim, the nooks and crannies and all that. You can see there's a little bit of bubbling and blistering on these. Not really on that too much, but the very bottom of the tailgate. Let's go all the way across. Just a little bit of discoloration. Now, the only place that I saw anything back here at all was that right there. Just in the very corner, just a little, very small bubble. There's even a trim piece down there. Do you guys notice that? It's going to be so fun detailing this little critter. Well, this huge critter. That's the last time it was on the road. Aw, come on, man. You see? It's like perfectly blue sky over there, and yet in my yard, it's like raining like pee out of a boot. Rain's gone now. Time for the first shot in an impressive volley from the parts cannon. There we go. A little bit of gasoline was in it, as evidenced by just what fell on my hand just now. One of you subscribers out there told me the other day that I needed to get the filter that comes with the little piece of hose and with the clamps. So that's what I did. It's a Wix too, so Vice Grip Garage would be totally happy with my choice. Now I know you're thinking, why is there not a gasket there? But it doesn't have one there. That's not how they come. Get myself a wrench and do this like they do on the fancy channels. Found myself the correct 15/16, and I'm going to put some of this liquid thread sealant on here. I don't like to use the tape except in very specific situations, just not very often. Make sure you wipe off any excess that could potentially get into it, and wipe it on your shirt if possible. Don't get crazy with it. You're just going basically tin into a piece of aluminum. It's going to be so easy to crack this. Yeah, that's fine. This right here is the accelerator pump. The diaphragm specifically is right inside these 4 screws. You'll see the same thing on Holley carburetors. There's a little diaphragm in there that acts like a little pump when this comes back here. When the throttle goes back, see that move? that makes it pump a little bit of gasoline in there, like an initial shot. So when you first hit the gas pedal, it's called tip in. So as soon as you hit the gas, it's like wham, wham. Pretty cool here. Get one of these and place them on each side of this little hose. Use my high performance street pliers once again. And I'll get this one. About right there. This other one. Loosen that one up. We're basically trying to feel, we want to get past that flare. And as soon as we get past that, life's good. I want to make sure that's in there very, very solidly. There we go. This next step down below, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be difficult or... This filter's coming out of the way. I'll go ahead and put a pan down here because you know it's going to puke some. But then the lines come off there and 2 9/16 bolts. I'm not really sure. I may have to take off that. See the flange there that holds the oil filter on? I may have to take that out of the way. Or I may just have to shove this thing back a little. Boy, that thing's so stiff and... Oh man, that's not long of this world. I think I found what has been leaking in there. See that fitting right there, the power steering? Look how wet that is. That's exactly what has been leaking. That right there also backs up the story that the previous owner said about his dad had the entire top of the engine redone. New exhaust manifold gaskets. And see the surface there on the cylinder head, the bottom of it, how clean? And even the new bolts. Good sign. Let's get the fuel pump out of the way, and first we're going to have to do that oil filter. Quick question, has anybody ever made an oil pan that is truly awesome? I know they have those ones in shops and stuff, but I think on the average day, in the average store, to the average civilian, no. Although I like these. I really like this style of wrench. They are just, man, they're so good. You don't really want to tighten it up with it, but definitely good to loosen it. I don't know if this is going to pee oil or not because it's been so long since it's run. Okay, let's get those 2 bolts right there, which are 1/2 inch. There's probably another one on top, wouldn't you think? If you know anything about older American cars, I'm going to show up with a 3/8 to a 5/8 and I could disassemble the whole car. I'm feeling like there's another bolt on top there. Oh, there we go. We got that out of the way. Should be able to get that fuel pump and its associated components out of there pretty quickly now. Nice. That was... That's why I buy the Harbor Freight stuff. I must admit, though, that's one of the nicer Harbor Freight components. It was like $12 or something. Once this line is out, it'll also help us do a quick test on the line between here and the tank. I try, whenever I touch any kind of fuel system components or brake components, I try to replace every single thing I touch. Like if I'm doing a water pump on the front of an engine, I'll go ahead and do both belts, tensioners, idlers, that kind of stuff. Especially if it's kind of difficult to get in there and do the job. I just put a supercharger on a Corvette, and man, I'll tell you what, I replaced everything while I was in there because you talk about no room whatsoever. Let's get this line off here now. For those couple of people out there who were saying, I would have already had it on the road by now. Well, you would have burned it to the ground, or you would have hit the brakes at that first stop sign and plowed into that Tesla. That'd be embarrassing. I do want to reiterate just very quickly here. I broke this with my bare hands. It just cracked in half. That had fuel in it, and it was really close to the exhaust. I'm not trying to light this car on fire, so I am taking my time on purpose, and I'm changing out the gaskets that needed to be changed. I'm checking out every line. I'm checking out every hose. I'm not going to burn this to the ground. I'm just not going to do it. And you should keep that in mind when you think, wow, I'm just going to pour some gas in the carburetor and fire it up and go. You got to check this stuff, man. One thing I do when I'm taking off a part like this is I go ahead and take a little video or a picture of the brand and the part number. I don't think Auto Pro exists anymore, but in the future, if I need to cross-reference this to another brand, it's right there. A couple of 9/16 on top of the fuel pump. Get those out and put the new one in. We want to make sure that every little thing is the same. Also, we want to make sure that these in particular are exactly the same. See, that's a little bit shorter. That's not enough to make a deal. The things that are really important, you want to make sure that this is the same length. And that is. It looks like it'll go in there. And it may actually fit in there a little bit easier because it's not as big. Make sure there's not something weird in here. Bombe de combustible mechanica. Andy, don't blow yourself up. Don't light yourself. All right. All that they're basically saying in there is when you put this in, here's the hole in the side of the engine. As you put it in, don't do it like this. Do it like that if you can. Then get it as close to the flange as you can, then lift up. Because there is an eccentric in there that's cam driven. And it's like a lobe on a camshaft. And that's what makes this thing go poop, 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 and go up and down and obviously pump the fuel. Let's get up in there. Confirm that we have my gasket. Yeah. Oh, they sent 2 gaskets. Kind of feel like I got over on the man. Looks just like a Chevy style. Yep, that's what we're going to do. A little bit of light RTV on both sides of this. We'll put it on one side. Actually, you can put it on this and then just stick that on there like that. Then another little light layer. I always put the bolts in first. That way it kind of locates it instead of trying to get up in there and reach your finger around. And so let's get it in there. Get the RTV on it first. Stopped off at the local O'Reilly here. Gasket sealant type 2. Looks like it does what it's supposed to do though. It's kind of cool. Does that typical Florida rust at the front of the hood there. See? All along that, just smoked. Cool truck though. I cannot believe I finally got a moment to get back on this wagon out in the driveway. For the last 5 days I've tried. It's rained every single moment. And as soon as I decided I was going to go outside, it started raining within probably 30 seconds. So I basically got all the stuff that I had just put under the wagon, brought it right back inside. Out with the old, in with the new. They have such killer tread, but they're totally worthless tires. Got 2 of them already on the rims. Had to bring my truck. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Sean, that thing looks like it's straight out of an episode of Adam 12 or maybe even Chips. Remember how every time you saw a 4-door like this with the little plain wheels and hubcaps, that's the one that rolled in the crash? Or went flying down a hillside and burst into flames? Every now and then you'd see that the driver was wearing a helmet. I don't think we were supposed to see that. But boy, it looks good with those on there. One of the subscribers said, you should go with 1 notch wider. See, I was finding just trailer tires in 225, 75, 15. He said go to 235. That's what I did. Under $300, brand new tires on the car. The good news is I got it running. Sat there and idled, then after a while it flooded out. Can you see the lakes of fuel down there? Float stuck or something. Got to take off the top of the carburetor now, see what's up in there. I'm going to start by saying, man, we just got a little bit of daylight left. Very gray, funky, like every day for the last 2 weeks. Now this right here, I don't know motorcrafts, but there should be something there. And I think it's related to the accelerator pump. I already have these 2 bolts out and these 2 bolts out. I'm going to take out the centerpiece here, look down and see there and see what the float and everything's doing. Let's discover together what is going on inside here. Got to pull this out of the way, see what we got over here. Okay, that little piece of linkage. That pretty much confirms what I was thinking, this piece right here. I'm just not used to seeing them on polys and things. I am used to seeing this accelerator pump, but this right here, there's just a hole. And there, at one point in time, there was some kind of seal or rubber insert or linkage piece or something but this is all getting replaced anyway, so let's just break through here. See what we got going for a float in there. The life of a YouTube person. I don't call myself a YouTuber because I think YouTubers have exotic sports cars and racetracks. Alrighty. I'll sand all that down in a minute. Oh, that is just, it's got a lot of resistance. It's very gummed up. Well, I'm going to order a kit. Try to make this thing work. I don't think I have any motor crafts out back. I have about 150 ollies. No, probably 30. Also broke that off there too. Whenever you're trying to find these kits for rebuild, make sure you get all the information off the tag, off the body. I'm going to take some photos because it's going to have a little better resolution than this video.
You're telling me that my local O'Reilly has in stock a carburetor rebuild kit for an Autolite 2100 on a 67 Mercury commuter wagon. What are the chances? Apparently pretty good. And it's raining again.
Took advantage of a quick break in the rain. There's the part number if you have a 390 FE for the Autolite 2100 15369D. It appears to be right so far. Let's see what happens. Well, I told you I had a whole bunch of containers back here with carburetors in them. Mostly I'm going to have GM-based stuff, but I got to see if I have a Motorcraft in here somewhere. Because the vent cap, I've never seen a carburetor without one, but somewhere along the way it just disappeared. I looked on the intake and everything, can't find it, so I'm going to go through a couple of these boxes. Nothing in that one. There's a Holly, another Holly. That's just Hollies in there. Looks like 3 of them. Yeah, it's gonna rain again. I know it's hard to believe. 2 more Hollies in there and a South Park CD. Quadrajets. Who needs Quadrajets? I have them with all the plugs on them from the early 80s. Remember those nightmares? No auto lights in there, though. Well, I'm down to the last one here, and it's not looking good, I must say. I've had so much Chevy stuff that's weight. I wonder if that's an option. Those of you Ford guys who have been following along with this. Let me get this stuff out of here. Okay, Ford guys, I found one that's close, but it doesn't even have the vent. Will that work on mine? One that used to have a vent. No tag on the front, so I don't know which one, but it's the same style. I think it's the same. I'm going to go in there and see if this plate will fit and just delete the vent. Wonder if that'll affect anything. Looking a bit closer here. See on the back side of that, there's the little hole right there. And this one has the big one with the cap. This also flat here. Got that little stub there. That may be to locate the air cleaner. Choke's a little different. That arm is different. See the difference? Well, I'm going to see if the top of this will just bolt onto this. Check one last one here. Quadrajet in there, 2 Quadrajets. A Solex? Okay. Well, let's try to make one out of 2. I did find a couple things I'm going to use in the wagon, though. 8-track to cassette adapter. Ring of Fire, Best of Johnny Cash. That's a big old duh. 8-track works.